Hey, what's up, mortals? It's me, Robert Ramirez, aka Rarzrevenge here, and before we get into today's video, there's a few things I'd like to say. Firstly, I'd like to let you all know that we have a merch store. Some of the items in it are only available for a limited amount of time, so if you're interested, go to the description and check it out. Each purchase helps us make more content. Secondly, if this video hits 300 likes by the end of the week, then we'll continue this what if. Thirdly, if you didn't know, only 41.3 of you guys are actually subscribed to us. So please hit that subscribe button and click that bell icon so you don't miss any new updates. Now, with that out of the way, let's get into the story. We continue on the day after the combat exercise with Izuku as he walks to UA. After turning the corner, he notices a massive crowd of reporters in front of UA's gate, trying to get interviews with students and teachers. Izuku walks through the crowd trying to get to the gate when a reporter stops him and asks what it's like to have All Might as a teacher. And he answers slightly nervous, he's really cool. It's an honor to be taught by him. I'd like to talk more, but I should be on my way. Can't be late for classes. Izuku quickly turns away from the reporters and walks through the gate into the main building. After which the reporters stop more students of Class 1A and ask them questions about All Might. Eventually, Aizawa walks out to the gate where a reporter asks him if he can please get All Might so they can get an interview, but he simply replies, "All Might isn't on campus today. Now leave. You've already disturbed my students enough." Aizawa, turning around, walks away from the crowd as they get frustrated by his response. One of the reporters tries to walk through the gate but accidentally activates UA's barrier in doing so. This is happening all while an unknown figure watches and schemes. Later, after the bell rings, Mr. Aizawa congratulates all the students for the decent job during the combat training yesterday and gives out some pointers, but once he finishes his small lecture, Aizawa announces, "Now let's get down to business. Our first task today will decide your future." Hearing this, the class gets concerned that it's another test when their teacher tells them, "You all need to pick a class representative." As soon as Aizawa says this, the class is relieved to finally be doing normal school stuff. Though it does get a little hectic when most everyone says they want to be class rep, things do calm down when Iida suggests that they vote on who the class rep should be, which all the students agree to. Aizawa goes along with it, provided that they can get it done before his nap is over. After some time, everyone votes and Izuku is elected to be rep, receiving 5 votes, 3 being from himself, Iida, and Uraraka, with the other 2 votes being from Kirishima and Sui, who have grown a decent amount of respect for Izuku, and Momo is the deputy getting 2 votes. Everyone is generally okay with this, including Iida, though he's a little disappointed that he got 0 votes, and Bakugo is of course pissed with the results. Not long after the election, Class 1A heads to the cafeteria for lunch where Izuku, Iida, and Uraraka sit together, but are also joined by Kirishima and Sue, who join in on their conversation. During this time, Izuku admits that he worried about not being a good fit for class rep, but Uraraka tells him that he'll do great, and Iida says, "Nonsense. You're clearly the best choice for the job. Your courage and quick thinking under pressure will make you a worthy leader. Not to mention the strength that you've shown. That's at least all the reason why I voted for you." Izuku is a little surprised that Iida voted for him, but before he could reply, Kirishima butts in. "That's pretty much the same reason why I voted for you. The way you handled yourself in that fight against Bakugo was epic and super manly." Sui then adds, "Not to mention you're humble and respectable. I'd much rather have a class rep like you than, say, someone like Bakugo." Izuku is a little lost for words and doesn't really know how to react, and just thanks them all for believing in him. After Uraraka asks, "Hey Iida, didn't you really want to be rep? I mean, you look the part because of the glasses. Why not vote for yourself?" Iida responds, "Well, wanting a job and being suited for it are quite different things. Observing the Iida Family Hero Agency has taught me that much." This catches everyone's attention and they start asking Iida about this agency, which he tries to brush off until they finally break him, and Iida tells them that his family have been heroes for multiple generations and mentions that his brother is Ignium, which blows everyone away, especially Izuku, who fanboys out a little. Iida then says, Ignium is an unmatched commander who honors the hero code. As the second oldest Iida son, I strive to be just like him. However, I'm not ready to be in a real leadership role like you, Izuku. Deku replies telling Iida that he thinks that he would be a great leader if given the chance, which makes Iida feel better, and Uraraka says that it's nice to see Iida smile instead of being all serious and he should do it more often, which makes everyone at the table laugh a little. But the moment is cut short when a level 3 security breach alarm suddenly goes off. Iida asks the third year what the alarm is for, and he tells him that it means someone has gotten past the school barrier and that they need to evacuate immediately. Iida, along with everyone else at their table, leaves and heads out into the hallway where they get caught up in the panic and the stamping crowd, which quickly separates everyone from each other. Iida slowly makes his way to the window and sees the group of reporters were the ones who set off the alarm. Iida tries to get everyone's attention to tell them that everything is fine, but no one is listening. After a few minutes, he eventually sees Izuku and Uraraka a few feet away, and he makes his way over to them, asking Uraraka to make him float so he can get everyone's attention and let them know what's really going on, which she does. Once Iida is floating above everyone, he gets ready to use his engines to push himself to the exit, but before he can, Izuku floats up with the help of Uraraka and offers to give him a hand or foot. Izuku then uses 11% of his legs and pushes Iida forward to the exit, while pushing himself in the opposite direction. But this does help Iida get to the exit without using his quirk, and he lets everyone know that it was just a press outside managing to calm them all down. Not long after, the police arrive and escort the reporters off the UA's campus, while all the students went on with the rest of their day. Back with Class 1A, as Izuku is getting ready to discuss who the other class officer should be, he tells everyone that he feels Iida should be the class rep because he was able to get control of the earlier situation and calm everyone down easily. With the majority of the class agree, and after a short discussion, Iida accepts the position under a condition that Izuku will also be a deputy, which Mr. Aizawa says it's fine as long as they stop wasting time. The rest of the day goes on with the principal and a few other faculty members inspecting the gate and realize that it was no accident, either being a show of power or declaration of war, but overall the remainder of the day is uneventful and ends fairly calm, but tomorrow will be quite different. Before we get back into the story, I'd like to say that we've got a second channel called Anime Deep Dive. Anime Deep Dive goes over the hard facts of the anime presented. Now, in the case you guys didn't know, we have a third channel called Anime Theory. Anime Theory mainly focuses on a large variety of mind-boggling anime theories. If you're interested in content like this, please go check the description down below, or click the icon in the top right corner. Now with that out of the way, let's get back into the story. The next day starts up with All Might going around the city, taking out villain after villain without using up the entirety of his time. With All Might's time limit only being about 3.5 hours, he is stretching himself thin, but when he gets to the UA, he only needs to rest up for a little while before he can teach the class. Now over with Class 1A, after the bell rings, Mr. Aizawa announces the class will be doing rescue training and will head to an off-campus facility for it. This excites all students and they get ready to head out to the bus, where Iida tries to get everyone in an organized fashion, but it ends up being pointless because of the bus open layout, but ultimately the bus leaves UA without any issues. During the trips, everyone starts talking about their quirks, with Izuku being first, though most of it all just complaints, and the conversations eventually turn Bakugo and Todoroki, where everyone begins to pick on how Bakugo tends to yell and get angry a lot, which of course causes him to shout at everyone. Once Mr. Aizawa tells the class to calm down, it's fairly boring until they get to their destination. When the class steps off the bus, they get greeted by Pro Hero 13, which excites just about everyone, especially Izuka and Uraraka. 13 then asks the class to follow her into the facility, and when they do, everyone is awed by the inside as 13 starts to introduce the facility. A shipwreck, a landslide, a fire, a windstorm, etc. I created this facility to help teach young heroes in training, like yourselves, how to deal with many different types of disasters. I call this place the Unforeseen Simulation Joint, but you can call it USJ for short. After Aizawa, walking up to 13, asks her where All Might is, and she tells Eraserhead that All Might overused his quirk and needs to rest, but he'll be able to join them halfway through the rescue exercise. Meanwhile, back at UA, All Might is in the teacher's lounge trying to rest up as best as he can. But back at USJ, 13 starts to explain her quirk and warns how dangerous her quirk, along with all of theirs, can actually be if they use them improperly. Even if it's to do something good, like saving someone, and ensures that they understand how today's exercises are to teach them how to save people's lives, not to hurt or harm, because this is something a pro must know how to do. Once 13 finishes her speech, everyone begins to applaud her, getting pumped up for their exercise, but right as Aizawa gets everyone's attention to start the class, the power begins to fluctuate and eventually shuts down, as a strange shadowy portal starts growing in the middle of the facility. Once the portal grows big enough, a massive number of villains march out of it, confusing everyone as they start asking if this was part of the exercise. Izuku steps forward to get a better look when Aizawa shouts, "Stay back!" He quickly puts on his goggles and continues, "This isn't an exercise. They are real villains. Kaminari, use your quirk to call the campus and inform them on what's going on." Kaminari attempts to contact the students, but isn't able to for some reason. Aizawa then says, "They must have someone who can jam our communications." That's unfortunate. It's clear that they chose this moment to attack for some reason, and planned it out accordingly, so you all know to get out of here, now! 13, evacuate the students and call the campus for help when you can. I'll hold these punks off until backup arrives. Izuku yells back at Aizawa in concern. "What? But you can't take them all on! Your quirk is better suited for stealth, or one-on-one fights, not a massive group brawl! It's too dangerous to fight without help!" Aizawa then gives a confident smirk and says, "Kid, you can't be a pro if you only have one trick." Aizawa then runs and leaps off the stairs, rushing fast towards the villains as they get ready to use their quirks to deal a swift end, but Aizawa erases their quirk, stopping them, and begins to cut away at the villains' ranks with surprising amount of ease, surprising the whole class as they watch. As the fight continues, Izuku gets slightly distracted by it, but once Iida regains his attention, 13 tries to get everyone out of the facility, but as they run towards the exit, a dark mist instantly forms in front of the exit, blocking anyone from escaping, when a voice rings out from the mist. "Hello, it's a pleasure to meet you all with the League of Villains. I know it's impolite, but we've decided to invite ourselves into a haven of justice to greet you and end the life of All Might. After all, doesn't this seem like the fitting place for the symbol of peace to take his last breath?" Izuku and everyone else are confused and concerned by this statement as the warp villain continues. "I believe All Might was supposed to be here today, and yet I see no sign of him. There must have been a change that we were unable to foresee. Oh well, I suppose it doesn't really matter. I still have my role to play." The Mist villain prepares to attack with 13 doing the same, but Bakugo and Kirishima interfere by jumping in and attacking, which causes a large explosion, but after the smoke clears, it reveals that the villain is unharmed, shocking everyone. 13 orders the two students to get out of the way when the Mist villain says, "You're quite annoying. It would be better if I scattered all of you across the facility to meet my comrades and your deaths." The villain activates his quirk, surrounding well over half the class in a dome of dark mist, and warps them all across the USJ in an instant, leaving only 13, Uraraka, Iida, Soji, Sato, Zero, and Ashido by the exit with the warp villain. Over in the Shipwreck zone, Izuku falls out of the portal straight into the water. As he regains his bearings and swims up to the surface, he notices a water villain charging towards him to attack. Izuku activates 11%, readies himself to fight, but Sui quickly knocks out the villain and grabs Izuku with her tongue while swimming away with him and Mineta. Sue, along with her two classmates, go to the fake ship, where they get on board to rest up and talk about what the warping villain said earlier, but not very long after, a large group of random villains surround the ship and prepare to attack the students, making Mineta freak out as Deku thought nervously about how the villains can kill his dad, but only come up with one conclusion, and tells his two allies, "If these villains have a way to kill All Might, then we have to stop them. No one at UA knows what's going on. We can't sit by and let this happen. We have to work together to save All Might, ourselves, and everyone else." As Izuku says this, every member of Class 1A and the Pro 13 and Aizawa are facing their own challenges, trying to figure out ways to handle their current situation. Meanwhile, back at UA in the Teacher's Lounge, All Might attempts to call Aizawa and 13 a few times but is unable to get a hold of them. All Might gets concerned and decides to head off to the USJ. But as he stands up to leave, Principal Nezu walks in and stops him, asking All Might to stay for a quick chat, which he agrees to, and as they both sit down, Nezu pours some tea while saying, "I saw the article this morning. Well done resolving all those incidents. But you can't go to everyone who needs help anymore. It's why I gave you this job in the first place, so you can help shape the next generation of heroes." All Might replies, "I know. It's just hard to do that, sir. I don't think I could ever stop helping people, if I can. It's just who I am, I suppose." Nezu then states, "Yes, I understand, but regardless, you need to focus on your new responsibilities as a teacher. You've already done a lot for your son Midoriya, but as the teacher, you need to help the students here to grow just as much as your own son. And you very well can't do that while hiding in the Teacher's Lounge now, can you?" All Might then sips the tea and says, "Yeah, you're right, sir. I can't neglect my responsibilities to my students. But something tells me it won't be easy to adjust." Nezu responds, "Well then, I suggest you get to working on it right away. If you feel good enough, then why don't you take a stroll to USJ? By the time you get there, the exercise should be halfway over. That's better than missing the entire class now, isn't it?" Agreeing with Principal Nezu, All Might leaves the Teacher's Lounge and walks to the USJ in his weak form. But meanwhile, back at the USJ, as Mineta is freaking out and yelling that they should wait for the pros, Deku points out that the villains don't seem to know what their quirks are because of Sui being sent to the Shipwreck zone with them, giving them the idea to explain their quirks to each other so they can work together more efficiently. After Sui explains hers, Izuka explains his as Spartan Boost, saying that it increases all of his physical abilities, and that at his best can only use 13% of his full power. Mineta then explains his quirk, after proceeding to freak out some more when a massive attack hits the ship, making it start to sink. Mineta panics in response and throws some sticky balls at the villains in the water. Izuku, seeing how the villains react, starts to hatch a plan, and after a few seconds, he tells Mineta and Sue to get ready for an opening, and before they can respond, Deku jumps off the ship. Izuku realizes that he needs to use 100% of One For All to get out of the situation, but he also knows that it will damage his body if he uses it. So, as Izuku falls, he focuses all of his power into his index finger and flicks it, sending an immense amount of wind pressure into the water, creating a whirlpool that starts to suck in all the villains. Once Sui notices the opening, she grabs Mineta and jumps off the ship using her tongue to grab Deku as they pass by. While Mineta, who's inspired by Izuku actions, throws a large amount of sticky balls into the water, causing all the villains to stick together, as they are sucked into the whirlpool, allowing Izuku, Sui, and Mineta to escape. When they get to the edge of the shipwreck zone, Deku looks at his index finger and notices that the bones in it are broken, but he ignores the pain as best as he can, and comes up with a plan to sneak around the shore of the shipwreck zone to exit, while him and his small group also check up on Aizawa to see if he needs any help. As Izuku's group moves to where the massive fight is taking place, they witness Eraserhead taking down a handful of cronies easily, but he finishes them off. Aizawa notices the strange man with the hand mask charging towards him and moves forward to take down his foe, but the villain finds an opening and swiftly takes it, grabbing onto Aizawa's elbow and begins to decay it. In reaction, Aizawa kicks the decay villain away and jumps back, trying to recover as he fights off more lackeys. When the strange villain finally gets back on his feet, he starts to laugh and gloats as he says, "You're so cool. Even if I injure you, you're still willing and able to hold your own in a fight where you're at a disadvantage. Not bad, Eraserhead. Unfortunately for you, I'm not the final boss, that is." As the villain says this, he smirks and points to a large creature that suddenly appears behind Eraserhead. When the creature grabs Aizawa, it starts beating him down ruthlessly, breaking his arms like twigs and slamming his head into the ground repeatedly. The creature continues to maul the pro as the three students watch in horror. Deku readies himself to help his teacher, but before he can, the decay villain raises his hand as he walks up to the broken pro, signaling the creature to stop in its rampage. The villain kneels down next to Aizawa and starts talking to him. "Impressive, wouldn't you say? I'm Shigaraki, the leader of the League of Villains, and this is Nomu," gesturing the creature as he says its name. "And he's our anti-symbol of peace created specifically to destroy All Might. That's actually one of the reasons why we're here. And while you can't help us with that, you can at least help me with a second objective. If not, then I'll just kill you and all your precious students until I accomplish it. Understand? So tell me, which one of these brats is the son of All Might?" That's going to be it for today's video. Thank you all for watching the video to the end. Now there's a few more things I'd like to go over before the video ends. On behalf of we the Celestials, I'd like to thank the writers for this video, as well as the editors for this video. Their details will be in the description down below. If you're a voice actor, editor, or writer, or you're interested in becoming one of those, go to the Discord that is in the description of this video and hit up one of the heads of those areas. We're always looking for more members to join us. Thank you all for watching, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit that like button if you liked the video. Until next time, peace out, mortals. Have an amazing day.